Welcome to AltJake Takes On. And here's AltJake.
Hello again, everybody. This is AltJake, and we're listening to AltJake Takes On. I'm here with my buddy George, as usual. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, liking the videos, sharing them, subscribing. We are growing every day. Want to send a special shout out to RJ Krasinski from Reffing It Up, the host of the Reffing It Up podcast, for joining us for the entire Sunday Night Spaces last week. That was awesome. We had a great 90-minute conversation. There's been some awesome clips. Heard some great stories from Brian Hebner's career, Jimmy Corderas, stuff that Earl Hebner has told him. So if you guys haven't listened to that, go back and take a listen. I tried to clip them into some real specific wrestling stories for folks, but the whole episode's a great listen for sure. But we'll be back this week for our regular Sunday Night Spaces at 8:05 p.m. Eastern time. But also, like I said, I'm here with George. How you doing, George? How you doing today, buddy?
Doing good. Checking my phone for something. First off, hey, we're at 140 subs.
Yep.
So we're on the official quest for 500.
Yes,
when we get
on the march.
When we get to 500, when we get off the air here, Jake and I will discuss a giveaway we're gonna do for the 500 celebration. Yay!
Okay, nice. I like it.
We're gonna do that. So, like I said, just tell a friend. That's one friend. You have to have some friends out there.
Yeah, and if you're listening just as like tuning in or hearing something for it, and you just give it a subscribe. We don't have to set the notifications. We won't bombard you with anything, but please give a like, give a subscribe. It helps us out. Like George said, share it with a friend or two. So we'll probably just get into some general wrestling conversation today. Nice. Oh, all right. Yeah.
Checking my phone.
Oh, shit.
There it is.
It's got messages, people.
Okay. Yeah, this is weird timing, but Sunday night, 8:05 Eastern. For Sunday Night Spaces, we'll be joined by Kevin Apollo from Toonie Talk.
Oh my gosh! Okay. What I found out live on the air, everybody. Yeah, that is awesome. That's great. Hey, we're slowly knocking out the Toonie Town crew. We've already had Awful, and that was a fantastic and fun conversation. And we're gonna have Kevin Apollo as well. So that's awesome. That's great. We will. I'll have to think of some things to talk about with him and some questions, and that'll be fun. But I mean, if it's anything like the conversation with Awful, we just I had like a paper written down with 5 things to get to, and we got to them eventually, but we just kind of chatted, and that was one of the most fun times I've ever had doing any of this content stuff. So that's awesome. Thank you. That's great to hear. This is what George does, everybody. I run the technical side, and George surprises me with guests or different ideas that he has. It's great. Like he was the one who helped get the background that we use designed. And, I try to I edit the videos and make the thumbnails, but we're a team here 100%. That's awesome. I'm pumped. Sweet.
I'm excited.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's hella great timing too. Like we just happened to hit record and jump on, and we're doing it live, pal. So that's awesome.
Right. It was weird.
Hey, that's great. I'll take that. I mean, not planned. It wasn't like you had to bombard him and beg him for it. I feel like we're at least getting a good reputation out there that we are a fun place to, you're allowed to give your opinion. It's not gonna, even if people disagree, which happens often, we don't have to yell at each other. We don't have to fight. We could talk about things and have fun with it. And
yeah, we can.
We've yet to have to do that aside from any like background or sound noise issues. We've yet to have anybody coming. I feel like we've had a couple people close, but then our responses back really, like I remember we've had a couple of people that came in. I feel like they almost had like their spaces like shield up, like ready to fight. And with our response, they were like, oh, that's cool. And like they end up following me and interacting now. And so that's a lot of fun. So that's awesome. Thank you, George. That's breaking news, everybody. I wish I had a soundboard. I need to work on that. Right, he's just gonna say we interrupt this broadcast for. No, that's great.
With the subscriber contest, those of you that know me know it won't be a half-ass prize. It'll be something.
This is true.
So
this is true. George is usually behind a lot of the Pro Wrestle Times PWT contests that he does that are always a hit and a lot of fun, and that's great. Yeah, and. If however YouTube works, it doesn't show me all the subscribers, like if people are more anonymous with it, but I'll go off the list that I can pull. So we'll put out the list of names of people that we can put through. We'll we'll take it from there for when we hit 500. And I mean, hey, we've really only been doing this for like 9 weeks, so that's really not too, maybe 10. You know, that's really we're growing pretty well. So that's awesome to see hit 140 subscribers and see a lot of activity. I see, likes on the videos. There's a lot of comments. I've got about 3 or 4 different pages of viewer comments that we'll try to get to, but we might have to save those for a specific episode because the wrestling world's got a lot going on. We're still kind of coming off of the, I don't want to say the high of WrestleMania because not everybody was so pumped about it, but I mean, really, it's one of those. I feel like WrestleMania, I think it's one of the reasons why the shows after the Raw and SmackDowns after WrestleMania are such great shows is because there's so much pressure and so many eyes and so much on WrestleMania that once that pressure is released, you're kind of just given freedom. Like when you're almost like back to the regular world after that. Like there's, Ari Emanuel and his group from TKO probably are backstage at the Raw and definitely not the SmackDown after, because they'd finally moved out of Vegas with it. And I think it's one of the reasons why the shows have been, both shows were done so well. All 3 really have been so good. And then we've been able to see a lot of guys shine from it. So I was just going to kind of get in and just go into the general wrestling talk from since the last time we spoke, we kind of go from there. And that, I want to say the first thing that really should lead us to,
you want to do the Dynamite minute real quick?
Oh yeah, no, I forgot about that. You did mention you wanted to talk about Dynamite really quick for it. Yes,
I have an idea.
Okay,
for Mr. Tony. I know he won't hear it, but just in case. I've noticed, and I mentioned that the main event segment has been the lowest rated segment of the program continuously now for quite some time. And I don't understand how it's possible, but they've managed to do it a lot. So here's an idea. You have this Hurt Syndicate MJF idea going around, right? This angle happening. Why don't you start the show with MJF in the back waiting for Bobby to show up with the car? Done. Come back a half hour to 45 minutes later. Have him talking in the back about something.
An ongoing
done. Thank you.
Yeah.
Top of the hour. What they doing now? Oh, they're going to be in a match at the end. Oh, now what you said, there's a thread. And now I'm engaged. Because quite frankly, I liked that storyline, but it was done. They got it out of the way, and I don't even remember when it was, but it was done. And who cared about the end of it?
Nobody, clearly. You've seen that you could. I was just going to say, and you're not the only one. And because they don't build a thread, you're exactly right. Like, that's why you see the ratings literally fall off a cliff when you see the quarter hours. It's like, oh, MJF with the Hurts, because they get the whole segment completed and done. There might be a little aftermath afterwards, but you can usually catch that on Twitter because it's going to be like a 2-minute backstage segment. There's nothing major that's going to come from it. Everything you need to see, you've seen, whether it's at the beginning of the show, 40 minutes into the show, the end of the show, and then it's done. And from the rest of it. And they tell you what's coming in when it's either going to be the Death Riders or the Bucks or, some random tournament match against people or however many people you want to throw into a tag match to do silly elbows.
It just makes no
sense. It doesn't. No, and that's
because I'd watch that.
I did watch it for a long time at the beginning. I wish we were doing the show back then because I feel like I'm starting to see a little bit more of it on Twitter. So there's some knowledge out there of who we are because I'm seeing a little bit more people whenever I post things that are more immediate to come back and just defend AEW. And that's fine. I get it because they don't know who I am or what I was about. I tried so hard with AEW. I wanted it to be good. I went to the first AEW show that was in my city. That happens to be the last time they hit 1 million viewers on TV. It's a long time ago. Like, I really wanted them to be good. They pushed me away with these storylines that don't matter or don't go anywhere or shows that just have endless matches for no reason. Or you bring out, or you still I turned it on yesterday because I'd forgotten it was on when I came home from running some errands and doing things. And the first thing I see is Jeff Jarrett's flunkies out there. Jay Lethal in the match. And you got the Jarrett flunkies and Karen out there doing their stupid shtick, and it's just like, pass. I can't care.
There's a germ of an idea,
but
they can't they just don't. It's hard to explain, dude.
There's no filtration. I think what the problem is there's no real filtration. So if it's something that Tony likes, everybody just says, yes, okay, boss, we're going with it.
Okay.
And not pushing it back on him. And there's no, it just goes to shit because he's a pushover and he just lets everybody do what they want. And that's why in back-to-back matches, you'll have like the exact same finishing sequence to go home where it's like, a signature move reversed into the other person's finisher and a really late kick out. And then something else and a really late kick out. And then a roll-up. And it's back-to-back matches that have the exact different moves, but the exact same beats, the exact same storyline to the match of how it ends. And
okay, but now
force people.
If he likes something like that, why not just space it out through the whole show? That's what I mean. He obviously likes MJF and the Hurt Syndicate because he's been giving them a lot of money. Why don't you use them top of the show, 9 o'clock hour, one more time, build up to the main, and you're there. Anybody. You can do it with Hangman. Just one in the beginning, one in the middle, one in the... Just do something.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. And I mean,
I'm going to get feisty.
There we go. I like that, George. People have responded well to feisty George. We like this. No, but here's the only reason when you ask that question, one of the things that I try to do, I always say I'm a natural problem solver. You give me a situation, I will try to solve it. It's not always a great solution, but I'll try. You said, why does he do that? My first response is probably most likely because he's got to appease his buddy. He thinks he's friends with everybody that's on the roster. And clearly, once he thinks you're no longer friends or he thinks that, you don't like him or, he doesn't like you anymore, he ghosts people and they sit at home for a year and a half or however long Wardlow's been home or however long Ricky Saints was sitting on the couch and then I'm going to wrestle an indie show. Not going to wrestle an indie show. And however many people that have been.
No question. The main thing is he does not know how to produce a TV show.
Nope.
He can present a wrestling show to the crowd, fine. But a TV show is a TV show. It's TV.
Well, and the problem, you think of and I mean, this is such a silly.
Than a minute. Sorry.
That's fine. No, we're good. We're getting fired up. I like this. We're having fun. No, but here's the thing. And his claim to success that he lived on, which is I literally hurt myself thinking I have to say this out loud, but was his E-Federation, right? That's where he's I learned to book by doing an E-Federation. Great. No one's watching this on television. You can just say, oh, they have a great promo segment here, or they do. So when he's writing it out for the show, it's promo segment here, but they're not producing it. They're leaving people up to their own devices to do whatever stupid shit they're going to do. And it comes out terrible. So I've said it from day one. Even when I was giving AEW credit and props, I'm he needs to let somebody book the show. And William Regal, I figured it out. Somebody posted the other day or yesterday on Twitter, was there ever a time that you were out of wrestling and brought back into it? And I reposted my in three different tweets that don't pay for Twitter, my story of when I left because when I moved and got a job at the same time and what brought me back into wrestling. And and when I was brought back in, I was watching both shows and I was trying to think about, and then after I responded to that, I was what made me stop? Was there a moment or something in time that made me stop watching AEW? And I figured it out. It was William Regal. And it was when he went over there, I was like, this is it. This guy can come in and get Tony to listen to him and maybe not take over the book, but just be the one behind him and give it don't even have to just give him stand by the door behind the people pitching to Tony and just shake your head no or yes of what Tony should do. Be the guy behind the guy and teach Tony how to fucking do this. And we saw what happened with Regal. He was made to look like an idiot and he got out of there the moment that he could. And from that point on, I was pass. There's never going to be it's never going to get any better with Tony at the helm. He's not going to learn.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry, my bad. Sorry, I got fired up.
Is it possible that Tony can do what he wants to do, book the matches and stuff, and do his thing, but have a TV person come in and just run the TV portion of that show that Tony does? You know what I'm saying here?
Yeah, I don't know if there's somebody who can do that specifically within wrestling, and that's the unfortunate thing of Vince being like the only game in town. Really, is that there's not a give like if there was a, not saying there need to be territories, but if there was a good TNA doing so much better now, but for a long time they weren't really a viable number two because they weren't really traveling and doing TV from different places. So there's not people that can do those jobs that I know of in the wrestling world. I'm sure there's a TV person, but the problem is I feel like Tony would need to like, no, I'm the one in charge. I got to do it. It's me. It's all me. I'm the one doing it. And it wouldn't work out. Like there's somewhere in his brain where he is not aged. He's not an adult in that sense where he needs to be the one who's he needs the praise. He needs the pat on the back. He needs to, if he would just step back and be like, I'm the owner and promoter. I own all of this, and like act like the final decisions are his. Play that out like that's what he says to people, but like someone who knows what the hell they're doing runs the business.
Okay. Here's my concluding point then. I'm gonna be Tony Khan, or not Tony. Okay. Okay, here's what I'll do. I'll be Tony. I want Ospreay and Takeshita. I want Hangman and MJF. I want Samoa Joe going against Evil Uno. I want all my guys in a 6-way. Those are my matches, and I give it to you, and you do you put the show format together. How hard is that?
I mean, week to week, I think it would get kind of crazy because you'd probably end up having like the Russo situation where it's like, but these two together wouldn't make sense. This wouldn't work for the story. But if you could have it to where like you lay out, okay, what do you want? And this is again what we talked about previously. We talked about their pay-per-views. Like they have too many pay-per-views. Like let's say you get it to 6 a year, and like ideally, and it's like, tell me what you want for your main storylines for these pay-per-views, and I will get you to these storylines through the story. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think week to week would at least be probably better than what this is now, because clearly, but the problem is you're going to run into like what happened with Russo that Cornette always talks about, of how he would just like, oh, well, let's get here. And then it's like, well, this doesn't make sense here, and here. Oh, it's fine. No one will realize. It's okay.
EQ, Shmeeq.
There it is. Thank you. I was like, there's a Shmee something. I couldn't. This is why I love you, George. Thank you. That was literally the exact quote my brain was trying to get. Was like, he says something, Shmoo, Shmee, and I couldn't get there. DQ, Shmeeq. Thank you. It's exactly what it was. And it's like, motherfucker, you can't do that stuff every time. Like I think that's one of the biggest reasons why WrestleMania, why the Cody main event was so, like, people were so, like, him not hitting Cena with the belt was so egregious, because we just saw AJ Styles do that 2 matches before with the exact same thing with Karrion Kross and the Knuckles. And it was like, no, you know what I mean? Like, you get that. Yeah. So people were going to be even more pissed about it. Now, it was going to work either way, but it just buries it even more. And yeah, you can't have 3 DQ. Every match is ending in a DQ. Like, you go back and watch some of the Attitude Era stuff, and the people doing it are great, and the stuff is fun. But yeah, from an in-ring standpoint, when there's every match is 3 minutes and ends with a run-in, or it's a bunch of garbage, it's like, rose-colored glasses. Some of it's not so great.
But in conclusion, Tony, hire yourself a TV person to help you out with the TV show. That's all. Like, you ain't got to get rid of the book, because you're never gonna.
Right.
But just get somebody in there that runs a TV show.
Yeah, and somebody in your ear to help you. Like, I'm telling you, I thought Regal would just like stand there by the door and like give him a nod. Like, yes, that's a good idea. No, don't do that. Whisper something in his ear. And Regal could be discreet enough not to say anything and not, do his stuff. Like, no, I'm just there to help Tony. He runs the company. He has great ideas. I don't do a British accent all that well, and I wouldn't want to heart in. If I'm not going to be able to nail Regal's accent, I'm not going to say anything, because that man could stretch me 6 ways from Brick Mall. Nope. But you know what I mean? Like, he could have been the perfect guy, and I feel like once you saw what they were going to do with him, with Moxley and all that crap, and then him bouncing the second he could, it made a lot of sense, and that's what turned me off. So no, it was like the Dynamite 15 minutes, but that's fine. Hey, we had some stuff we need to say.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in the world that we haven't We did and like all we've been able to do is talk about WrestleMania, and there's a lot of other things going on, so that was good. But to lead into SmackDown, I was going to at least get into the high points of SmackDown and Raw from this past week, just because there was some cool things. The least big surprise, but what everybody knew was going to come, but was still fun, was Aleister Black returning on television. And the moment you saw Miz out there in the white suit, like, it's funny, I was cooking when that happened. I just stopped for a moment. I'm like, no, I'm going to watch this because this is clearly going to be Aleister Black come out and, dude, he has his old music, his old entrance, I love how he still sells the eye thing. Like, yeah, no, I one of the other things I want to talk about as we get to Raw is Karrion Kross, and where hopefully his gimmick is very leading to. Maybe they can kind of get away from the spooky side of Kross and more of just that he's messing with people's minds because he's, a sociopath or something, and he's more that kind of guy. And I keep calling him Malachi. Let Aleister do the spooky stuff. Leave the spooky stuff to him and the Wyatt Six, and hopefully that could help Kross take off. But I just thought it was fun to see him come back, even though we all knew it was coming. You saw the vignettes that said 425, but there was that clip that went around of where his that those vignettes were airing when Selena Vega was in the ring and she was pointing at it, and you couldn't take the smile off of her face with $1 million. So that was cool to see, and
yeah,
that's always good.
She was winning the women's championship.
But no, it was the week. It was the show before that. It was the one before.
Was coming.
Well, all right. I think it was more because her husband was coming back to work. But either way,
they went hand in hand, didn't they?
It's That's a good point. That is a good point. That is a good point. Speaking of that, I really do think this will be fun with Chelsea Green now being, she did being the champ for almost 5 months of gloating with it, and now she can go back and chase for it. I think that'll be fun. Like she'll make it work is the bottom line. She's I always call her the queen of minute maximization. There's nobody who maximizes their minutes more than Chelsea Green.
She is fun to watch.
She is she's just a great if you look at her when she's come back ever since her most recent return, she was willing to come back at the Rumble and get kicked out and pull a Santino. Like, that's somebody who friggin' gets it. Like, I can work with this, we can make this fun, I can sell this. I thought that was great. So
yeah, not bad on the eyes either.
No, not at all. And she understands that as well. And smart woman. That is a very, very smart lady. And she's married to Matt Cardona, which is great. What's up?
Ever since Mickie James mentioned the wardrobe for the ladies, have you noticed the shorts getting shorter?
Yes.
Holy sugar beans.
Yeah, I don't think that line lasted so well.
Dude,
I would say I'm watching
the other day, and Rhea's out there, and I'm like, her shorts got shorter. Liv comes out, her shorts got shorter. Stephanie Becker comes out, and I'm like, holy crap, half her ass is hanging out. I'm like, what just happened? It's subtle.
All right, here. So my response to that is,
yeah. What is your response to that?
Thank you, Mickey. So glad my wife's not home right now. Hello. No, I did. It was funny because I didn't really notice it till last week. But then I thought about it because remember when EO came out with was it the contract signing before Mania? Where I feel like even everybody we were listening with Phil, everyone was like, "Whoa, yo!" Like
it was right after she said something. Mickey
I feel like that was literally like the next night. Like she said it on LFG on Sunday, and EO was like, "Kiss my," hey. They empower themselves. They want to do it. Like obviously we have no problem with it. I'm also not gonna hoot and holler at them or try to grab it either. So there's that line. I feel like back in Mickey's day that would have happened a hell of a lot more. It probably did. So
sex appeal is fine.
Yeah, no, and the ladies use it and they make it fun. And Vaquer, it's part of her gimmick. I mean, that's with Booker T and the Devil's Kiss move. Like it all works. It all makes sense.
How much you gonna drop to get in that move?
Yeah.
No, I want to know how much.
I mean,
a couple hundred.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like, what's the?
Yeah, you didn't think this podcast would go this way, did you?
No, I didn't. But I don't really have an answer because I'm like, I mean, what financially? I'm not. I mean, I could try. Yeah, no, she's. I mean, of everybody on NXT, like she is not only like the most talented, but there's a reason why she is literally being skyrocketed to the top. She's from Chile and she is a spicy hot woman. So
for our next little bonus clip, I want to go through with you, and I want to go through the women's roster.
All right. I mean, well, I'll find more PG pictures here once we can monetize, and if we have enough people who want to do a Patreon, we can do more cheeky pics on a Patreon or something. That's why I kept the picture where it was there, because I'm like, I'm not gonna pop in any of those and get a flag.
No, I don't mean
I know. I'm just kidding. Was just a joke, and to sell the idea of, hey, one day maybe we will do a Patreon. It's one of those ideas. Yeah. But I was gonna say, back to things that work and did work, I thought was fun, which was what SmackDown led off with was Cena and Orton with their little promo battle, setting up for sure what we all knew was going to come the moment they announced Backlash was in Randy Orton's hometown, was Orton versus Cena at Backlash, and yay, I'm excited for that. But I at least wanted to.
When is that?
End of May. Let's take a look. This is why I keep Google up on the other screen. Backlash 2025. Let's take a look.
Tell people your secrets.
Yeah, well, hey, again, you were professionally unprofessional. I don't think about those things. I'm just excited. Hey, I just said May 10th. So like not this Sunday, but next Sunday?
Yes, that's why I said it, because I knew the answer.
Whoa, I definitely was gonna think like the Sunday after that, Sunday after that. All right, we will have to probably do an early Sunday night Spaces that night on the 10th. Okay, good to know. Because I'm sure like Phil will want to go live for it. Or it's Saturday, May 10th. My bad. No, it didn't say Saturday. My bad. All right. Well, even still, good to know. Wow, was not. Damn. I definitely thought it was the next Saturday. What would that have been, like the 17th? That's what I was thinking. But aren't they? I guess they are doing aren't they doing an SNME at the end of May?
25th, I think.
Like whatever that Saturday, the Saturday before Memorial Day, which makes total sense. Yeah. Hey, good for them. All right. No. Shoot. Okay. I definitely didn't realize it was that soon. But again, that's one of the reasons why you have these two as the match, though. Like you don't have to. There's built-in storyline. There's a lot of it. So plus, like, they had to work together. I mean, like that was like when Edge came back, right? Randy and Edge, they got right back into it. So
yeah, this is the product of WrestleMania being 2 weeks later than normal. So
yeah, no, it is true. It definitely
comes up quick.
Yeah, I am hoping they learn from it and switch it up a bit next year. Like keep the Royal Rumble should always be the weekend in between the NFL Conference Championship games and the Super Bowl. That's fine. But just build to Elimination Chamber a bit more. You know what I mean? Like instead of having it, because they did it, like it was February 1st and March 1st. Like if they'd have had that, I don't know, March 8th or even like that next Saturday, like the 15th, that probably would have worked better, but is what it is. It's fine. They'll learn is my point to that. But Speaking of things that people said should have been on WrestleMania, and I even said from the beginning, the reason it's not on Mania is because you've got to always be looking and moving forward, but this is going to give them that time to shine. I didn't realize they were going to do it commercial free, which I feel like the moment those guys heard that, they decided, F this, we're doing it. And that was the triple threat TLC match main event on SmackDown. That was amazing. And I just heard like 2 minutes before we connected, before we jumped on air, that Dave Meltzer gave it 5 stars. So I thought that was funny. I mean, sure, whatever you want to say for it. Like this was awesome. There wasn't, for a TLC match, I'm not the biggest fan of the crazy matches where people can almost kill themselves, but I'm not going to not enjoy it for what it was. And I mean, I took this picture first because I wanted to show, where the ladder was. And then you got to immediately jump to this one here of, oh God, the tribute to Edge, which funny enough that they dropped the WWE's dropping their Edge trademark as of this month. So if he wants to go back, get changed from Cope back to Edge,
that'd be interesting.
I feel like that was like, they don't really care, but it's really funny that Edge made all that effort to change it to Cope and set it to merch and get all the people to make fun of him and like, yeah, you can just have it back. It's fine. Made me laugh.
Yeah, Dave's been really gracious to WWE. I heard his star ratings for the WrestleMania, and there were a lot.
Yeah, there was a couple I was a little different on, but for the most
he rated
part,
them higher than we did.
I was gonna say, I thought there was a couple. I was like, shit, he was nicer than we were, But hey, that's fine,
Good for him.
I mean,
we don't say many nice things about him, so good for him.
We don't, and that's that's the thing, and that's that. I wish there was more of that, where people call things more down the middle with it. People kind of ride their sides, and obviously we are more WWE fans than AEW. But if you listen to our criticism, it's more of a frustration. We're not mad. We're just disappointed and frustrated. We want it to be better. We just gave you ideas of how it could be better, and I promise you, if there was any of that done, it would be. Even if they did it. Still book your indie guys and do the matches that I'm not the biggest fan of. I don't have to be the biggest fan of the match. If you're telling me a fun story and getting me interested, I will enjoy it. I will let myself enjoy it, even if it's not my thing, Also, just sell a little bit more in the ring. That's all. But that was SmackDown. I didn't really think we had too much to dive into it, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good kind of way to kick out. I look at it as WrestleMania is like WWE's fiscal year. This is this is week 1 of 52, and they'll move to Mania next year. And this is a good way to set it off.
Moving on through to Raw.
Yep, another one, which I mean, just amazing. Like, I love this so much. I can't even. First, mostly for Bronn. Like Bronn Breakker should be the happiest person in WWE right now. Like, he is literally, because he's willing to learn. Like, we know he's coachable. He's an athlete. He wants to learn. Also, I feel like dad and uncle are like, don't this up, boy. Like, this is your chance. They're not just putting like the rocket on you. Like, however you want it, because it's not so much being pushed to the top. It's giving you the opportunity to learn. And that's where, and I'm glad I was able to remember this, because I thought of this the other day. I was listening to somebody else's I forget who I was listening to, and I feel like I heard this on more than one thing, but people are trying to add another person to this group. Whether they do or not, we've talked about that. It could work if it's the right way. Becky's probably going to be a part of it, whatever, but people are like, Bronn is the Batista. And I just really don't like that. He's the Randy Orton in this situation for me, where he's the complete pack. Yes, he is a beast. He's a powerhouse. But Batista was kind of just the muscle until he turned at the end and showed he had a brain. But, Batista was more the muscle. He was the older guy that they were going to put in that big position to murk people. And Bronn will, spear the crap out of people, but he's the total package. He can cut a promo. I want to make sure I put that on record of like, he's the Randy Orton of this. If you're comparing the evolution, Heyman is Flair, Rollins is Triple H. I don't look at it that way either, but I'm just saying and that's why I say if they don't add anybody else, that's fine. But if they do add somebody, I hope it is a monster, like a Bronson Reed or an Obafemi. I don't know. Like those guys probably wouldn't work. I'm just saying if they add, I would hope it would be somebody who would be like the giant monster. I just think I think the group needs is Becky, and they're fine. But that's
I went the exact. I'm not comparing this to any group at all. When I first saw them, I'm like, this is their own thing.
Yeah,
let's let them be their own. Don't be adding anybody to it unless you're building up slowly to it and hinting around to it.
Right, or something that works.
There's no need to add. There's no need to add.
There isn't. Like it only add if it makes sense and if it works. Like Becky being a heel and part of this and kind of Heyman running the show on a few different levels. This is controlling the women's division. Whatever, that makes sense. But yeah, unless there's a specific need, because it's not like Bronn's green and you need to hide him in a tag team. He's fine. He'll be cool. He'll be great. I think this is the biggest opportunity he's ever had, and trying to think back of anybody between this and when Randy Orton was put into Evolution to learn under Triple H and Ric Flair, has anybody been given more of an opportunity to just, if you're willing to sit there and ask questions and learn, you are set for life.
I've noticed with this group here in particular, either you are a fan of Seth Rollins or you do not like Seth Rollins at all. I've heard both criticisms. People don't like Seth because of his old shtick, and he's going back to it a little bit, which I don't like. But I've been hearing a lot of people don't like Seth talking when they got Heyman sitting right there, which I kind of agree with, sort of. You have one of the best promos in the business standing there, and Seth's talking, so I don't know.
Yeah. No,
that's just what I'm hearing.
I agree, and I feel like
much.
And I feel like one of the reasons why it was so successful initially was because he started off that first on the night after Mania where he was low talking and kind of that. And yeah, I agree with you. Is that I mean we've been saying it from before we ever did a show together, from being friends and that we like the serious Seth. We like Seth, who he is, as that Seth. So yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree with that.
I think they need Heyman to talk more and Seth to talk a little less. And when Seth does talk, like you said, talking that friggin' scary heel soft tone.
And I'm kind of hoping that this, with what they did of bringing Sami out and having Seth laying out his vision here and kind of showing what happens, you're either with us or against us. Hopefully from here, he can kind of play more of the role of, look, I've said what I need to say. Heyman will take care of it. He can do it from here because that is what's needed. We need more. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. We need him. We always need Heyman speaking, in my opinion. He's the best. He's the best on the mic of this. We'll see. We could probably say safely of this century. Anybody before him, who are the other greats of Cornette and Heyman or Heenan and the other band. Those guys. They were all much older or at least from more back in the day. But I thought this was good of how they set this up with Sami, where they kind of set the ultimatum up for him, and Bronn looking at him like he was going to kill him. Bronn also looking like he put on an entire can of fake tan. I don't know exactly how that works, but he was trying to rival MJF with
he overtook that.
Yeah. And I feel like I feel like that's when Bronn wants to be a full heel. That's what he does. That's what he did in NXT. He was like, he put on as much tan as possible. But what was cool, and again, we'll tell this kind of at least chronologically, was what happened. They said you've got till the end of the show, and then Sami went backstage and ran into Cross. But I want to at least show this picture that I saw online of how Karrion Kross at least dresses in his hair of who he's trying to emulate or mess with his hair looking like Xavier's and Sami's, and AJ Styles is the one that really stood out to me with the straight hair and how he set it up to flow out that way. But this week rivaled it with this shot. I thought this, because I'd seen the online people talking about it before, and I thought it was a cool little Easter egg. But this week it was less of an Easter egg and slamming you right in the face with it. Yeah. So I'm hoping they do something more with this with Cross, but we'll see.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah,
they've given him enough little pushes now where this is it.
Well, and if you watch the stuff that he uploads online, there is a lot more to what's going on that he's been able to weave into a story. And with how he's a Triple H guy, I feel like he's one of the guys that I've talked about it before, that Triple H is just stay where you are, do what you're doing. We're not going to bury you. We're not going to push you yet, but in the right moment, we're going to throw you forward. And I feel like Bronson Reed is still the most prime example of that, where he was floundering and everyone's like, he's being wasted. There was what was his name in that New Japan when he left? Jonah. There was the Jonah is all elite sign memes being made because he was being wasted, blah, blah, blah. And then 1 week they had him tsunami Seth 6 times on Raw, and the next week he beat up somebody else. The next week he beat up somebody else, and the next week he was a star. You know what I mean? It doesn't take that long if you're booked right. I mean, I always hate to always reference the same things, but Jim Cornette nails it. He talks about it all the time of what you need to do to get somebody. You want to slam somebody over. I mean, that's how with Josh Alexander, they debuted him and beat him. No. I don't care if he goes the distance with Adam Page. You got to have him come in and smash people. Look what they did with Jacob Fatu. He came in, he smashed everybody they put in front of him, and he's a star. And he was a star.
They got to do something with Karrion pretty soon, dude. He's 39 years old, man.
I agree. They do. But
we'll see. This will be it.
I will see. But then that also led to Sami coming out, saying no, and being beaten up, as we kind of knew. We all saw that kind of coming. He got beaten up. He got speared by Breakker, and then he got the stomp from Seth. So I don't know if Sami's being written off TV for a little bit. I mean, he hadn't been on TV much anyway. I don't know if there was something going on there. I don't pay much attention to the dirt sheets. Not that they would get the news right anyway, but it was a good Raw. I enjoyed it. The SmackDown after Mania was good. This is a good follow-up to Raw. I'm excited for the storylines. I didn't realize that. I mean, there's one more Raw, and that's the go-home show of Raw before the pay-per-view. I mean, I guess with SmackDown, everything kind of bleeds over back and forth, so there's those. But dang, it came up quick.
Yep. Pretty fast.
All right.
Which we knew it kind of would have, but that's...
Yeah, no, you're right. You are right. All right. So I think it's probably a good spot for us to end here today. We've kind of covered back up to the week. And so thank you, everybody, for tuning in. As always, please, as we said before, subscribe.
Sunday.
Yes.
Sunday.
Oh, yeah. I was getting there. I was going to hit it with the like, subscribe, share it with a friend, bring somebody to the spaces on Sunday, or be sure to listen to the replays here on YouTube. But yeah, this Sunday, 8:05 p.m. Eastern, Kevin Apollo from Toonie Talk Wrestling on the Toonie Town page, which is something we promoted in the past. If you listen to our conversation with Awful Wrestling, that's another one of their 4 main co-hosts. So we're slowly knocking them out. We're trying to bring in the people that make content that we enjoy and that kind of work with us. So that's fun. I'm still super excited about that, dude. I'm really glad the audience got to hear my live reaction to that, because that was 100%. Oh, really? That's awesome. I'm so pumped. Thank you.
I could have planned that, but I didn't.
It's all right. We've got it recorded forever, so it'll be out, because I will get this posted right away, and I will also start promoting the spaces as well. And we will see everybody for Sunday night spaces. Thanks, everybody. We will catch you next time.